I gotta kick us live over onto Facebook. All right, connected live video, go live. All right, so we are live on StreamYard, and ooh, looks like we are now live on Facebook as well. Oh, well, okay, let's bring us up here. Here we go. All right. Hey, here we are. Happy, wonderful Thursday.
It is indeed.
It is.
A
It
little
is.
from the windy city, but today it's the rainy city.
Yeah, I think rain's covering a good part of like middle to the eastern seaboard of North America. We've had rain. Honestly, it rained. Oh my gosh, it started first thing Saturday morning, and it went straight through. Now we had a break for about a day and a half, and it's back again. We're supposed to get days and days of it again. So yeah, yeah. So you're in Chi-Town, right?
Yes,
Chicago,
sir.
Windy City.
Yes, sir.
Very
Right
nice.
outside.
How is Chicago in the middle of the week in May? Is it calm?
Not too bad. A little cool. Little, I guess, seasonable for the city on the lake, but it's nice. Outside of
Yeah.
Chicago in Naperville, so away from the hustle and bustle, but not far enough away I can't see the building. So
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Yeah, a nice little break too, a little change. I got friends from two friends from the northwest corner of Indiana, right outside, apparently very close to Chicago. So we can
yeah.
talk up a couple spots to go to. Obviously, Cubs fans and all that kind of good stuff. So I don't hold that against them, but you know. Yeah. So at any rate, trying to see. Nobody popped on here yet. Let me double check us over on the feed, make sure we're good to go there. Make sure everything's up and running correct. All right. Looking to see if I see us on Facebook. Okay, let me see.
Yeah, I'm not seeing you on Facebook. That's what I was looking for.
I'm not either. We should be on. Because according to my Facebook tab, we are up and running live, but when I pull it up separately, I'm not seeing anything here.
Are you on the back of the day page or your page?
Back in the day page. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing I did last week, where I'm able to. You have to use like an RTM, I don't know, RTM or RTMP or something like that. And it kind of lets you kind of broadcast kind of through the back door onto Facebook. Kind of skirts around the whole issue they were having, but it worked very well last week. And according to Facebook, we are on. Oh, wait a second, it's stalled out. Now we are back on. Okay, we were on Facebook. It stalled out on us. Now we are back on Facebook. So, apologize for the bump in the road here, guys. Learning curve here. Oh, yep. Okay, we are now broadcasting. I'm seeing us on Facebook. And we are pulling up YouTube just to make sure we're good there too.
There you are.
Facebook. Yep, we are definitely on YouTube as well. With a nice 7-second delay. All right. So, um, good evening, everybody. Hope you guys are having a nice weekend. Hopefully, spring is starting to knock on your door. If not, should be here shortly. Everything is growing like wildfire here. I went out, had a little break yesterday from the rain. I went out like a madman and tried to mow my grass because it more than needs to be mowed now. And I know if I have to go another 4 days of rain, it's going to be a jungle. So
Don't
I
you have a Don't you have a son?
I do have a son. He has been helping me out lately. The last couple of nights, he's been working pretty far away. Till he gets home, it's been a bit on the later side. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna run out, hop on the tractor, and do it. But yeah, typically
I was going to
He helped
say
me out.
you got a yard man right there.
That's exactly right. Yeah, he usually does. He tackled it last time, and yeah, there was a bit of a learning curve. It cost me a tractor to get him to learn how to use the tractor.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it did. It did. Not a mechanical issue. It was an impact issue. So
oof, ouch,
what did I go
ouch.
for?
Who
John
did
Deere
that?
meets a retaining wall. It didn't end well.
Not deer tough as they say it is.
No. John Deere to dear God, what did you do? Yeah, yeah. So, at any rate, I guess better than wrecking the first car. So, little easier, cheaper, and not as much traffic in the yard. So it works. All right. Well, so tonight, thought we'd do a little broadcast in lieu of Star Wars. We did a broadcast a year ago on Star Wars, and rather than just simply go back and more or less kind of rehash what we did last year, even though it was fun. It was a fun show. Thought maybe we try and change things up a little bit. So Mike and I are going to kind of take a look at both. I think two of the probably the biggest franchises as far as perhaps space goes, at least that I can think of, and that's Star Wars and Star Trek. Um, I have a big history with Star Wars, Mike. Star Trek, not as much. I definitely have caught things here and there and have seen some of it, but I don't really have the background that I do with Star Wars. And I'm not sure if maybe it's just because I was a little young for Star Trek as far as the TV show went, um, as opposed to Star Wars. I hit it at the perfect age, but or maybe it just wasn't on my radar as much. So, what's your background with Star Trek? Did you catch the original shows?
I did. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, yes.
I didn't throw any age in there, Mike. I'm just kidding.
Yes, my yes, my dad was a huge fan. So we watched it all the original. He was a big Captain Kirk fan.
Okay.
Um, so I grew up watching that. I have not watched any really of the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Discovery, uh, the one with Captain Janeway with the lady captain. I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I may have picked up bits, maybe turned on and watched a little bit of it. I don't think I've seen a full episode of any of them. I actually have the pilot. I think it's something at Farpoint, Incident Farpoint of Next
Mm-hmm.
Generation on my DVR. I've just never watched it just to see how they kicked off the show. I enjoy the
Sure.
movies. I like the movies that had the Next Generation cast in it. So yeah, I'm pretty much TOS, the original series. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I remember catching them here and there. I want to say they were probably syndicated at that time, and I would sit back and watch them. I never got into it enough that I would follow them, but it was one of those deals where if they were on, I would enjoy them. That was pretty much the extent of it. Movies were a little bit of a different story, but I don't know. I'm not really here to pick sides over one or the other. I'm definitely much more of a Star Wars fan than Star Trek, but I think in large it has to do with my exposure and nothing more. More or less just to kind of look and compare because there is some interesting parallels as well as kind of you know differences between these two
Mm-hmm.
franchises. So
Definitely.
yeah, we got a couple comments here on Facebook. I can't bring them up, guys, live, but I'm at least trying to go through them as we do go here. Do we have? Because I don't think we have any showing up. No, we don't have any showing up there.
Now
Okay.
read some also.
Okay. Yeah, we got Victor says, "Welcome, Mark and Doctor Detroit." That must mean Keith. Keith might be visiting
Let's
us here, I
see.
believe.
Vic is here. Mark Ames is here. Keith is
Mark Ames
here.
is here. Good evening, Mark. That's what I'm seeing at the moment.
Dr.
Yeah,
Detroit.
Doctor Detroit. That's right. Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry.
That's what I.
That was
That's
a
what I.
stupid movie, but it was so funny.
It was. I call Keith Dr. Detroit every time he comes on, just because he's from the area. So that's my nickname for Keith. Victor saying Star Wars or Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is the best of both franchises, in my opinion. Very solid movie. We're going to be getting into the movies here in a bit. And he says Star Wars is guaranteed to not make me fall asleep. Star Trek is guaranteed to make me snooze. Kind of interesting there. So kind of going a little bit both ways there, Victor.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because when I watch Star Trek: The Motion Picture,
mm-hmm.
and for whatever reason, maybe the first 10 years I would watch it. Either I drove the first time this Florida boy ever drove in the snow. I drove from Fort Leavenworth to Kansas City to see Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and I only did 2 donuts in the street, hitting spinning around. But
yeah.
the part where Spock goes out on his spacewalk, for whatever reason, I'm just like that. And when I watched it on home video, same thing. It took 10 years for me to watch and then finally I just said, let me start the movie there. And
catch it from there on.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I think Robert Wise was the bad choice of director. And he was a great director, but he just did not handle the property. It was more of a person thing. You can't do West Side Story and Star Trek. So it's but it was entertaining, and I thought the plot was good, and Shatner lost like 150 pounds. He was almost emaciated. He lost so much weight for that. But Billy Van Zant's in it. Billy Van Zant's the alien with the big bald head he was in the opening credits. He's billed as the alien boy. And at the beginning, when Kirk gives his big impassioned announcement to the crew, and then he leaves, and all the original series people leave, Billy goes with them. So if you're in the beginning, you're thinking, "Wow, that guy's really gonna be a big part in this film," and then you see him like once. So yeah.
Wow, Billy!
The Jaws tie to Star Trek. Billy Van Zandt.
Jaws connection to Star Trek. I absolutely had no idea whatsoever that Van Zandt was in that. I mean, not even the faintest. Of course, that being said, when they had these aliens and stuff that show up, it kind of very much kind of, I don't know, hides it so much, and it's really hard to tell. But man, that is a huge Mike fact. Right there.
Well, thank you.
Look at that. Jaws connection to Star Trek. Impressive, Mike.
Thank you.
Not that any of your facts aren't impressive, but man,
Star Trek.
It's really good. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when that movie came out, and I actually did a little bit of research on it, and I didn't quite realize. So the reason why they ended up doing this Star Trek movie is like, I don't know, 78, 79, was because of Star Wars. So they were up. What do you got there? Let me pull you up.
Billy.
Oh wow, that is Billy. Here, let me pin you and go solo here, buddy. Yeah, it is. Wow.
It is. Billy Van Zandt in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, Alien Boy.
Wow. Very nice. Wow. All you need is a vest and a little Boston Scully cap, and he's back in Jaws too.
There it is. There it is.
But so they were originally going to reboot the TV show. They had gathered up I want to say the main cast or most of the main cast, and when Star Wars hit, I guess it would have been Paramount. I'm assuming is who did it.
Yeah.
Kind of hit the brakes and said, "Whoa, we need to make a movie." And I thought that was kind of interesting how one kind of spurred the other one, maybe perhaps in that direction. At least from the research that I found, it wasn't something that I was aware of. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, Star Trek never really went away after the original series.
Mm-hmm.
It played in syndication forever. Mm-hmm. In the early 70s, they did an animated cartoon show, and they featured the original cast. So film is definitely a natural progression,
Yeah.
and it's given us some good films.
Oh, they absolutely were. I thought first one was good. I remember seeing Wrath of Khan. Thought it was a great film. I mean, I really did. Still to this day, probably one of the creepiest scenes out of any of those, definitely out of any of the Star Wars movies, is when they capture the two of the guys and they put the earworm in the helmet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh man,
It's
yeah,
creepy.
that just made my skin crawl. 110%. Yeah, that was a rough one, but
You sit in the
done very
dark and you
well.
feel something. You start doing this. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, right. Um, and I've seen a handful of the movies. I've seen, what is it, like The Search for Spock? I want to say it was the one before that. Was that The Death of Spock? Was that what it was called?
Well,
Maybe that's the third one.
Wrath of Khan, Spock died
Oh, that's right at the end. Yes.
or
Oh, yeah,
died.
that's
It
right.
is a air quotes. And search a spot. They found Spock. 4, they found the whales.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Five,
Okay.
5, they let Shatner direct. 6, they brought Nicholas Meyer back and really sent off the original cast with another good film. Um, and then 7 was Generations, where they kind of put both of them together and they kind of handed the torch off to Picard. And I even
Hmm.
enjoy the newer ones, the more modern ones with Chris Pine and Zach Quinto and Carl Urban. Um, I don't know. You read things, and supposedly Chris Pine wants way too much money to do a fourth one. But I had the opportunity um, to interview Anton Yelchin before he passed, and we were talking about Star Trek 3, and he
Hmm.
said that they were going to make him as long as people went and saw him, and 1 was kind of a like an intro piece. 2 had took a lot from Wrath of Khan. 3 was standalone, and it was entertaining.
Hmm.
So I'd like to see another one. So Chris Pine, you're not you're not Tom Cruise. You're not worth $1 million, $1 zillion. Just come back.
You are right. He was a good pick, though. I did see the last two, and I have to agree with you. They were well done. They were good movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed them. I thought the character development was done pretty well, and it had, Pine had a little bit of that edgy rawness, cockiness, that was delivered quite well. Yeah, yeah. I got Care on here,
Okay.
hopping on YouTube. Care, hello, Care. I'm from the Mitten State. I love the Star Trek franchise. I also watched the early Star Wars movies, but I didn't get into the prequels that came later. Yeah, it's kind of interesting as we're talking about the Star Trek movies and how they started out really well, and they seem to kind of slowly delineate. And at least in my mind, I think they really kind of come back around and do a real nice job. The Star Wars franchise, you had your first three, which were completely iconic. If I had to rank them, I'd have to go Empire first as my
Yeah.
number one, with A New Hope being second. It wasn't, Jedi. Yeah, it was good. It was a little bit more. I don't want to say commercial, but you could tell they were definitely reaching a wider audience with that. I was really excited when the episodes 1, 2, and 3 came out. They were okay. I didn't hate them, but it very quickly became, you know, fun to hate them. They were garbage. They didn't like Lucas. And, I honestly think whether I cared for them or not, or thought they were great or not, he stuck to what he was doing. He made sure that every movie that you did, that you were in completely different settings and that changed and progressed throughout the movie. It wasn't like keep going back to the same place and constantly introducing new characters. So I thought there were some really good developed characters. I thought Qui-Gon Jinn was pretty interesting. I thought the choice for Obi-Wan was just fabulous. Having
Yes.
McGregor do it, I just think he did a great job with that. And everyone got on the hate train with all of them. And the third one, I thought was the best of the three. The fight scene at the end was a little long, but it was good to see tying up some loose ends from the first one, answering some questions, and people just
Hmm.
buried them. And then once the 7, 8, and 9 came out, then what happened was all of a sudden, 1, 2, and 3 were good movies. All of a sudden now, people are saying, "Oh, you know what? There's a lot of merit there. They had some really good things going on there," and so it's kind of unfortunately kind of ironic. I think they kind of soured the franchise a bit, unfortunately, at the risk of the fact that they didn't get what they wanted out of it. I guess I really do think, and it's my personal opinion, that part of it is they were looking for that wow factor from when the New Hope came out and Empire came out. I'm sorry, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to happen. You know?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So.
Well, if we were at home, I go down to the basement. I have the story treatment that George Lucas submitted to Universal after American Graffiti,
Hmm.
and he originally planned 9 serials. Like the old days, which is
Sure.
kind of what Raiders of the Lost Ark was, adventure serials, and they did what you and I know as Star Wars, but they call Episode 4. They picked that one to do because if it failed, that movie had a beginning and an ending.
Yeah. Yep.
Because everything else ends and kind of, oh, we could do this, or what's Luke lost his hand. What are we doing? Where's Han Solo? So here they could do, um, they just did it as a standalone film, and it just took off and opened up the other ones. I Jar Jar was a horrible character.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I wasn't a
Yeah,
big fan.
and Alex Lloyd was a bad casting choice for young Anakin.
Hmm.
I think the George Lucas. I think him directing them. I think he kind of had tunnel vision and what he wanted. I don't think he was open to other suggestions.
Right.
What makes Empire so good is number one, it had a great script by Lee Bracken and Lawrence Kasdan, and Irvin Kershner was a great choice for director.
He
And
really
same
was.
with Jedi, they had a different vision. Here's the script, here's my story, but tell it the way you want to. And Lucas, and he was George Lucas. I'm sure nobody said, "Ooh, Jar Jar is pretty much step and fetch it in the 28th century or galaxy." And the kind of Asian looking uh, uh, the I forget what their characters or what their affiliation, what world they're from. The bad
Right.
guys, Watto,
Oh
the
yes.
guy with the big nose and the Yiddish accent, and it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
who's he's like George Lucas is like Donald Trump. Nobody wanted to tell him no, and you know because I think I said no, this isn't going to work. And they were entertaining and they made a lot of money, and he got to tell his stories. And then the last 3 I really enjoyed. The ones J.J. Abrams did and Ryan Johnson, and I enjoyed the standalone. I enjoyed Rogue One. I
I did
even
too.
like
I thought that
Solo.
was really well. Yeah.
I like Solo.
So did I. Yeah. So did I. I thought Solo was really cool. I thought that kind of threw in some nice character development, and I thought there were some really good parallels there. I mean, honestly, yeah, Rogue One was great. It really was. Um, as far as the TV series goes, I've gone through and tried to watch some of them. I tried to watch the Boba Fett one. It was okay. Um, I liked it. I like what they did. It kind of drug on a little bit for me. Um, I got to say, I was a fan of the Obi-Wan series. I thought that was done really well. I preferred that one over the Boba Fett one. That I did.
And The Mandalorian. I have not watched Mandalorian. My son watches Mandalorian.
I watched
And
it. I liked it. Yeah, I thought the first season was really good. Second season came in okay. Third was okay. I almost get a real early Clint Eastwood fistfuls of dollar almost sense of his character.
ah,
You know, I really do. He really kind of, he's the anti-hero. He doesn't care about what anyone else thinks or does. He's on a mission, but he holds true to his beliefs and values. But it's almost like he keeps getting into these situations that it looks like he's not going to get out of, and somehow miraculously it pulls off. And I think it started to become a little bit repetitive. And honestly, it can take a lot for me at times to keep me in. And if I'm not hooked in and constantly, I tend to drift away. I've gone and watched it, and I've come back and watched it. I enjoy it. I really do. I don't know if I enjoy it as much as maybe some, but I do like it. Now you have what? Ahsoka is out. There's another, not Apocrites. There's another one coming out. Another series coming out, and what else? There was oh gosh, I think it was one that was based off of Rogue One. Can't think of the name. At any rate, they seem to all be doing fairly well. Disney definitely seems to be doing okay with it, but like what I think they're doing with, say, Marvel, I almost feel like they're oversaturating everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like every time you turn around, boom, we got another Star Wars series coming out, and I almost feel like people are kind of getting a little, like, senses are getting a little dulled to it at this point. You know, like maybe you need to reel it back in a little bit. I think it's kind of taken away some of that neat new shininess. But that's, again, in my opinion. I'm not speaking poorly of them. I just think it's kind of deterred me a bit from it. So yeah. Got Care chiming in here about Mandolin. So my son also likes the Mandolin series. He's in his mid-20s. Yeah, it is a good series, and like I said, if you get a chance to see it, I really get kind of an early Clint Eastwood-esque kind of characterization out of him. But that's could be me being a huge Clint Eastwood fan. Who knows? So both of these franchises started to really spawn off on the toys, and we all know about the history of Star Wars and their toys. I mean, that really I kind of set the world on edge as far as movie toys go. George Lucas, if he did anything really well, that's what he did well. I mean, he just, I don't know, knew how to play those cards, and to this day,
Oh, he did. He was,
oh my
you know,
gosh,
the only thing he kept when he gave Star Wars to Fox, he kept the merchandising rights.
yeah,
And that movie was the most successful film of all time for a period of time, and Fox still fired Alan Ladd Jr. because he gave up the merchandising rights.
yeah,
But
yeah,
he's just he really. I mean, I remember like Planet of the Apes, the little Mego figures they had, but
yep,
there weren't a lot of movie action figures back in the day. When I was a kid. But after Star
right,
Wars, everybody, I got Dick Tracy, and I got Last Action Hero, and The Shadow, and yeah, they're pretty much any movie now has an action figure with it.
yeah. Whole series, even movies that aren't really kid appropriate or geared towards kids. I mean, they're just coming out with lines and lines of them. And on the collector end, there's a whole series of strictly collector type action figures that you can get on cards now. I mean, it's unbelievable what it was out there. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I remember a bit of the Mego, the big act. They were what, the 9 or the 12 inch action
12
figures,
inch.
and those. Yeah, and I remember those with Star Trek. I remember the Batman ones. I had a whole bunch of those, and they were really cool. But yeah, when Star Wars came out, and they went with that, what was like 3 and 3/4 inch action figure series. Boom, man, that was off and running. And Star Trek tried to follow that, or I should say, Mego tried to follow that, and they came out with that version action figure, particularly when the movie hit. In the bottom left there, I actually had a bunch of those characters. Those were Mego trying to get into that, riding in the Kenner craze with that short scale
Mm-hmm.
action figures, and they did okay. I don't want to say they did fabulous, but they definitely did okay with them. And however, unbeknownst to me, because I just don't know that much about it, they have had series after series after series of action figures, and to this day, there's a new series of Star Trek action figures out there, and they are popular. I mean, they might not be Star Wars popular, but they are definitely out there and popular, and people have interest. There's entire websites dedicated to them and the collecting of them. So,
Well, I was at the store the other day, and now it looks like, are they redoing like the Star Wars? Are reissuing them in like the Empire Strikes Back packaging and the Return of the Jedi packaging? And it's like,
they
how,
keep,
how many
yeah,
how many C3POs do you need? But you know, some
And I
people,
often,
but you
yeah,
know,
and I kind of wonder if that is maybe driving up some of the exclusivity and maybe some of the collectability of the Star Trek figures because they're not, you know, pounding everything out time after time after time, and it's back to back. Again, I really think that they're kind of, as far as Star Wars goes, I really think they're oversaturating the market. I mean, you know as well as I do, in '95 when the Power of the Force stuff came out, everyone and their brother that was into Star Wars started going out and collecting those. I have a bunch of them on cards. You know, a
yeah.
lot of people do, and they never really gained value because I mean, people just started stockpiling them and thought they'd be worth $1 million, and so they were producing them, millions of them, and they never really
They're
came up in
like,
value.
yeah, they're like starting lineups. You know,
Yeah,
I've got,
yeah,
I've got, I literally have cases of starting lineups, and
hmm
they're not worth anything. Which I didn't, I didn't buy them to be worth anything. I just bought them because I wanted them. I collected them, but
sure,
now I
yeah,
go to, I did a show last week, and people are selling Power of the Force carded figures for $4.
four or
So
five
yeah,
bucks is what I see them
yeah,
for. Yeah, yeah, and they've come out with. I mean, every time a movie comes out, they'd have a whole other series. With that, I expect. But now, what I'm seeing is like I can remember a bunch of years ago, it was the Black series came out, and then it was the retro where they were literally recasting the original figures to look like the original figures, even on the retro card, the whole deal. Then they started doing like the next size up. So instead of the 3 3/4 inch, I would have like 6 inch or something like that. Then the 6 inch Black series, and the Black series are pretty cool because they were super hyper detailed. I want to say I have a couple of them that were like the Black series of the original, say 12. Um, and now the last time I was out about a week ago. Rarity, I would go to a mall, and I happened to go to a mall, and they had an FYE store, which used to be a music store. Now it's just kind of everything, kind of pop culture. And I walked in there, and they had hanging up. It was the retro action figures, so the original ones on cards, except they were like 12 inches, and they were on an original retro card that looked to be about 18 to 20 inches high, and they were selling for $100 a piece.
oof, were they? Yeah, hey,
$100 a
easy.
piece, and oh man, yeah. So, but once again, it's almost like, and maybe I could be completely ignorant to that. Maybe people are buying these things up. I mean, if I mean, the old saying is that it'll sell for what people will pay for it. So you know what?
Yeah,
Maybe I'm dead wrong on that. Maybe they are sucking these things up. I have no idea. So anyway, hey, we got a couple comments in here. Sorry, over here on Facebook. Let me pull them up quick here. Mark says, I remember working at a department store and the Phantom Menace toys came out and had like 4 pallets of just Star Wars stuff. And they sold quickly. Yeah, they did. They sold real fast. I have some of those. I even have, there was one, it was some of the action figures had an electric, I forget what they called it, not a decoder. You would take the action figure and put it on top of the stand and it would, do like a line from the movie or something like that.
oh,
Yeah, I remember that. I have that guy still. I think I have, I don't know, probably like 8 or 10 figures from that movie. Victor saying, I wonder if Michael Dorn asked Chris Pine to star in Star Trek films because he starred with his father, Robert, in the Chips TV series. That's right. Yeah, that's right. His dad was in Chips. Interesting. All right. And then Vic says, does George Lucas have any creative direction of Star Wars series since Disney purchased the rights? I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I don't
I
think so. I think they
wouldn't
probably,
imagine.
out of respect, they'll say, "Hey, we're going to do this,"
Right.
but I don't think if you say, "Ooh, I don't want that to happen," I say, "Oh, sorry, George, it's going to happen. You got your $3 billion." Well,
They still graciously bring up Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm still shows up. You always see
yeah,
that.
I
So
think that's part
they
of his
didn't
deal
just do
too.
it.
So
I would assume. Yeah. Yeah. That way it's out there. Yeah. But yeah, it is kind of interesting, and the more you dig, sometimes the more you find, and some of the information I found pertaining to what people are trying to do as far as the direction of what Star Wars is going in. There's so much conjecture out there as to what's going on and what they want to see next, as opposed to what should happen. And yeah, unfortunately, it kind of gets a little convoluted over time, I believe. So,
Matt
but
Matt just commented that he and I, Mike and I, we worked at
mhm.
Woolworths, and
Oh wow,
we got several pallets of Star Wars toys in '78.
nice, nice. Yeah, I still have my original guys. Yeah, still have them. Still have one carded. Still have a bunch of the originals. Yeah, I gave it to my son. My son collected them all. Built him a big kind of shelf unit. Had a Star Wars poster in the middle lit up, and he displayed. He was a collector, so we bought the little stands. I mean, he displayed all. And it was like 88
Oh,
figures or whatever. And yeah, some of the
nice,
ships, cool stuff. And I packed it up.
nice.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
of these days I'll hand
I
it
think
over
the
to him.
only old one I have carded is an Empire, maybe a Bespin Guard. That's the
Bespin
only
Guard.
one,
Yeah.
the only old one that I have still on a card. Everything else is like stuck in my Darth Vader and my C-3PO
Case.
cases, collected
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah. 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 Well, how about we start to look at maybe some parallels here as opposed to just some differences. Um, and the first one might not be a big one, but they have both made their way and continue to both make their way into the comic book world. And I knew Star Wars did, and I knew that Star Wars kind of continued in the Marvel universe, but apparently Star Trek is still putting them out there as well. So the relevancy of both worlds is still there. Ironic though that one's Marvel and one's DC, um, but they are both still there and both still relevant. I never read any of the Star Trek comics, and to be honest with you, I've only ever read one or two of the Star Wars comics. I don't know why, other than the fact that I tended to be more of a DC kid when I was reading comics than I was Marvel.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I didn't read a lot of the Star Wars stuff. But I never read any of the Star Trek comics. You ever dive into any of those, Mike?
The only Star Wars comic I read is this one, issue one,
Right.
which I own a couple of them.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and the art is based on an advanced poster, a prototype poster Howard Chaykin did that was given out at the World Science Fiction Convention in Kansas City in 1976.
Oh,
And it
okay.
was so and then they kind of used that for the cover art. I have not read a Star Trek comic. Um, I've read a few of the novelizations
Hmm.
of the television series, Trouble with Tribbles and those. I have not read a Star Trek comic.
No, I have not either. Got a couple people on here. Yeah, chiming in. So Matt's saying he bought one for his nephew for Christmas. He was elated. Okay. All right. So they're still out there and relevant. Yeah. Mark says, my profile is me and Darth Maul. There's a store at the mall that sells loads of Star Wars figures. He found the shark cage Hooper while he was there. So nice little,
Oh, nice.
over there. Yeah. Very nice. Victor saying, did anyone have the Millennium Falcon as a toy in the 70s? I did not. Yeah, you did. I did not. That was the one, to me, I thought the Millennium Falcon was like the flagship of Star Wars toys when the first
Mm-hmm.
round came out. I really did. And I didn't have that one. I had the X Fighter, I had a snow speeder, had the twin pod car. Did not have. I did pick one up later when my son got into the early Star Wars stuff. So yeah, have a
I
Millennium
have
Falcon.
mine. I um, I made a film uh, after my senior year. A bunch of us got together, Matt included, and we did a parody film. We called it the movie we couldn't call Star Wars because Star Wars is already used. But we had,
Hmm.
elements of Star Wars and Battlestar and Rocky Horror, and it was just a really fun film. And then I decided I met a kid um, uh, who was into special effects, and we were going to do a sequel, which we filmed one scene for. But I got him a model Millennium Falcon, and he built it for me, and I still have that. We
Oh
never
wow.
used it. We never used it, but I've got a nice full model. So yeah, it was it's big too. I was like, wow. That's I mean, for a model, for a toy, it was pretty ornate.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah, they were
thinking,
quite
boy, if I got
detailed.
this when I was 9 or 10, I never would have been able to put it together.
Yeah. Yeah. And, MPC commissioned a lot of the model kits. I built a Millennium Falcon. I think I still have an original Jedi, X-wing fighter, I believe. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was really into modeling for quite a long time. Worked for a guy for a while that actually did it professionally, and so yeah, models are that's a whole different subgenre in itself. A lot of collectability. It's a dying breed, but there's still a lot of collectability, and a lot of those really command some pretty serious prices. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what some of those are worth these days. So yeah. So next up, we take a look at special effects because I often think that we tend to think that one dwarfs the other, but when you take things and put them into perspective as far as time frame and as far as how and where they were shooting, I think early on, both of these guys really did a pretty impressive job with what they had to work with as far as special effects goes. You know, with Star Trek with the TV show, we kind of I guess almost look at it now at times through our eyes or through more modern eyes with laughability. But just the simple thing is how they were able to visualize the transporter, guys appearing,
Mm-hmm.
guys disappearing. I mean, to do that and to do that not on a movie budget, on a TV budget. I mean, pretty damn impressive. Not something that happened in Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, they actually went back. I want to say the last time they syndicated or offered the show for syndication, they went
Hmm.
back and they did what Lucas did with the original trilogy. Because he went back and he kind of cleaned up special effects and he added stuff. So now when you
Yeah.
watch Star Trek on TV, you're going, wow, that I don't remember it looking that good. I remember the Enterprise being that clean or that phaser shot, like that. It used to just be beep, 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 beep. Now it's like so
That's it.
yeah, they've gone back and they've cleaned up the effects, but for their time though, you know,
It was
that and
done
other
well.
shows, that and Lost in Space and Time Tunnel and Outer Limits. I mean, for the '60s, they did a good job. And in the '60s, you didn't know they were going to be cheesy. Like, oh wow, look at that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think they did a pretty good job at time pulling off some of the makeup, pulling off some of the disguises.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did, and at the time it was very easy to go, "Yep, that's a rubber suit," and they did a real nice job with that. They, kind of got away from the hokiness. And again, it was a TV show, and it was the '60s. It was not, there was no, blue screening or anything like that. It was not on a movie budget. Man, I don't know how big of a budget it was for TV, but still, I mean, you're talking about the time of westerns and stuff like that, and you know, so yeah, I always gave a lot of credit to that, and I think that really spurred a lot more of what we saw come through, even carrying over into Star Wars. And obviously the movie, the first Star Trek movie, had a pretty damn big budget. It was a pretty good sized movie, from what I believe, from what I read. Um, and again, carried over well. I thought the space scenes were shot really well. Where you go through and think about what little was available at the time. You take a look at your Star Wars effects. I mean, we look at them as being groundbreaking and legendary, and they were. I mean, for God's sakes, I think the average age of the special effects department was something crazy like
Special effect,
21
the motion
or
picture.
19 or something like that. And, more or less developed the whole idea of blue screening and formatting and what they did with the lightsabers, even little things like the land speeder at the bottom. Now that is the touched up image, the original one. They literally took Vaseline and smeared it underneath the land speeder on the lens, so you couldn't see the wheels of the Volkswagen Bug chassis. But just, I mean, utter creativity because there was nothing to use, so you had to develop it yourself if you were going to make it happen. And so I think on both accounts there, they really, put some cutting edge technology out there, something that's probably to this day is being used and borrowed. You know, very impressive
Well, I can
stuff.
remember seeing Star Wars and when that opening shot when that Imperial cruiser just
Oh yeah,
comes in and it's like, oh my goodness, what are we watching? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you see those first couple bolts, coming from the laser cannons hitting the back of that thing and shaking the room. And it's, people now talk about, movie theaters. Who cares about going to see a movie theater? You watch a shot like that in a movie theater, and it blows your mind. You don't get that effect sitting at home in front of a TV. I don't care what you have.
No.
Being in a theater, different ball game. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And even you even go back and look at those early effects now, and I always see in the original Star Wars when they're doing the aerial, like the fights and the dog fights, you can actually see the blocking where it kind of
Hmm.
blocks in the effect. I always see that, and I don't see that and go, "Oh, that's crap." I see that and go, "It's amazing how well they got away with that." Because it took me 20 years to actually see that and notice that and
Yeah,
go,
you
"Oh
didn't you didn't you
man,
didn't you didn't see it in the movie. You're too busy going on. Too busy
it's just
watching. Well, it's
yeah,
like
yeah."
the people that always complain about Jaws 2 and how fake when that shark comes up along the boat and you can see the mechanism inside. Yeah, you can because you're freeze framing it. But when
Yeah,
you're sitting in a theater with 900 people and you're on the edge of your seat and it just flies by, if you saw it then you've got great eyes. So yeah,
I blame that on the world of DVD and the digital age because those critics weren't there until that was
yeah,
available.
yeah.
You know, you couldn't pause and manipulate things. Even with VHS, you're very limited what you can do there. Yeah, we've got a couple more comments over here. Let's see what we got. Mark, you guys ever look online for the filming locations for any of the Star Wars? I have seen some of them. I know one popular thing is to go out to where the footage was shot of R2D2 when he was being picked up by the Jawas. I want to say that was out somewhere in California. I'm trying to think, was that part of Death Valley? I believe is where they shot that. Like that's a very iconic area right there. A lot of people will go out there and kind of try and get the right angle and take pictures and stuff of that shot.
And
R2's kind of going
recreate
through.
the scene. And I know
Yeah,
um, Jedi. Is that film Arizona with the
part of
Sarlacc and the
Arizona
pit?
and part of yeah, and then Northern California, I think in the forest, the redwood forest, right? I believe something like that. Yeah, and and supposedly in Tunisia, um, the original residence where the aunt and uncle lived. Apparently, that's
Oh,
pretty much still there, or was
well, that'd
still
be
there.
cool to go to.
That would be pretty cool, and like not just the little, what you see, like when Luke goes back and they're dead, but like the whole looking down into the ground and seeing that their home built into the side of that
Huh.
hole or whatever it was. Supposedly that was either still around or had been around for a very, very long time in Tunisia. So that would be pretty impressive to stumble across, come across. Yeah,
Victor want to know if either of us ever watched Space 1999.
I no, no, I
I
can't say that I did.
I watched it in the first, probably the first year. It was like Martin Landau and Barbara Bain. It was okay.
Yeah,
It was entertaining, but there was so much. After Star Wars, everything was trying to even movies, Laser Blast
oh
and
yeah.
stuff like that. Anything with a spaceship in it sold.
Well, anything every time a Star Wars series, kicked off, it just lit off all kinds of movies. I mean, go back to the original. Look at the, it's kind of like when Jaws hit. Then it was creature movies,
Yeah,
creature predator movies. Star Wars came out. Everyone and their brother was cutting their own version, and I can remember being a fan of some of them. I can remember some just being so out there and so ridiculous. What Disney really tried to punch in with a black hole. You remember that one?
right.
That was a big production film there, and I want to say it did okay, kind of mediocre, not quite what they were hoping. There were very few that really punched out there, and then there were some parody movies even through the '80s, like oh my gosh, your more popular one, Spaceballs, which was a great film, hilarious film. Ice Pirates, do you remember that one at all?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah. Ice Pirates was. I wish I could tell you who was in it. That
I
was a
was gonna
big
say
comedy.
was gonna say Robert Urich, but I don't think it was Robert Urich.
I
Well,
don't. Yeah, I don't know.
that's
But
why we that's why we have the internet.
yeah. Or maybe someone will chime in. Anyone familiar with Ice Pirates? It was strictly a parody, strictly a comedy like Spaceballs. Yeah, almost like a little bit of college humor kind of mixed in there. Obviously, it was based around ice. Yeah, yeah. Very few held the merit, and I've never been a big sci-fi guy. Just was always a big Star Wars guy, and I enjoyed Star Trek. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness, it was Robert Urich.
Is that who it was? Really?
Mary Crosby, who killed JR, if you watch
Yeah,
Dallas.
yeah. Uh huh.
Anybody else? Angelica Houston. Ooh, she was slumming. That's before she won the Oscar. John Matuzak. John Matuzak.
Okay.
People just say I used to look like him. Ron Perlman. Decent
Really?
cast.
Ron
John
Per?
Carradine.
Wow, that's a good
Anna
cast.
Nicole.
I think I know
Yeah.
what I'm going to be watching this weekend. I think I'm going to go back and deep dive that one.
Bruce
Yeah.
Valanche. Marsha Lewis from Bob Newhart Show. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Matt's
And
chiming in. Ice Pirates. Ice Pirates, laugh out loud. Kung Fu robots, dude. I remember so little of that, but I remember watching it and being entertained by it. I remember catching it on HBO, and I know I watched it more than once or twice. So I think I'm going to go back and see where that's available this weekend.
I'm,
Yeah, I think.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm happy I knew Robert Urich was in it. Yeah, good for me.
Way better than me. I couldn't have named a single person in there. Yeah. What else you said? I think Laser Blast came out after Star Wars. One of my low budget guilty pleasures. Who was in Laser Blast? That rings a
Kim Melford.
bell.
Kim Melford, who played um, Rocky in the stage version of Rocky Horror. Eddie Deazen's in it, and it starts out with a car going down the street,
Hmm.
or alien going down the street, and there's a billboard for Star Wars, and they blast it and blow it up. And it's like, yeah, I don't know what kind of statement they were trying to make, but yeah, that was Laser Blast.
Laser Blast. And there are some that have now become like iconic, like cult following behind them. And I'm trying to think. I want to say there was two that really stood out. And when you go back and you watch, or at least clips of them, I honestly couldn't sit and watch all the way through. You see how blatantly things were being ripped off. I mean, horribly so. And the fact that they were just able to get away with it, and how much beneath what we're talking about here tonight they were as far as their special effects, their character development. I mean, it just really, yeah, definitely trying to ride the wave. And I want to say, oh gosh, who was one? It was almost. Don't want to say it was a debut. I want to say it was one of his earliest films. David Hasselhoff was in one of them. He was in
Yeah.
one of the big Star Wars ripoff films. I'm trying to remember who the main female actress was. I want to say she was pretty big too. Um, but it was very blatantly a Star Wars ripoff film. Yeah, Hasselhoff was kind of like a Han Solo kind of character, I guess. Maybe a mesh between Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. Yeah, yeah.
Let's find out.
Don't know the name of that one. Yeah. So
He's big in Germany, you know.
he is the Hoff. He is not as an actor, as a singer. He's quite the
He's
singer
got
in
a really
Germany.
good voice. I heard he did Jekyll and Hyde. He was really good. He sang the big song.
No kidding.
Let's see what David Hasselhoff was in.
Yeah,
Boy,
for the life of me, I couldn't tell you.
he's done a lot of crap.
Yeah, he's done just about everything over time, without a doubt.
Good Lord, I'm just scanning his IMDb page. Get down to early stuff. Good Lord. How
Oh,
many credits does this guy have?
Victor saying 1984 Starman, directed by John Carpenter. Jeff Bridges. I do remember that. That was a good film. he was an alien, came down to Earth. Yeah, good call there, Victor. Yeah, that was, I think, not as far fetched as some of these ones that we're talking about.
Oh yeah, Jeff
Yeah,
Bridges is always good though. Him and Karen Allen.
yeah, yep. Carpet, yep. Oh, yeah. Matt's saying, I think Star. Okay, same comment there. Sorry about that. While we're looking that up here, pull up
Well,
some
he's done
heroes.
327 movies or roles as himself. As
As
himself.
himself. As himself. That discounts a lot of popular roles that he's done then. As himself. My gosh, he's got to be somewhere in like, 500, discounting, ones that he did under a pseudonym.
134 roles as an actor. Let's see what we can find.
Go ahead. While you're doing that, I'm just going to pull up some heroes from either one. Maybe some of you guys at home kind of chime in. Who were some of your heroes?
Star Crash. Prince Simon and Star Crash.
Star Crash. I couldn't
Yep.
have guessed that for the life of me. Star Crash.
It
Yeah.
was him and Carolyn Monroe.
That's okay.
Marjo Gortner, who used to be an evangelist. Christopher Plummer, who must have needed to pay the rent.
Chris Plummer was in it. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Joe
Well,
Spinell from Rocky.
wow. I want to say that my last time I saw it was on YouTube. You might be able to watch it on YouTube. There you go, Mike. Get a little bored.
That's another movie for us to watch when we do our movie
Yeah,
watching.
Star Crash. Yeah.
And then a bunch of Italians. Oh my God, Candy Clark was in this? Oh, Candy.
I think
My
they were hoping it was
Facebook
going to take
friend.
off.
That woman's got an Oscar nomination. She should be in Star Crash. Directed by Luigi Cozzi, who I think did Italian horror films.
Oh, I was going to say, was it that, or was it like spaghetti western guy? Like, what's his background? But
He did Hercules with Lou Ferrigno. I don't know why I thought he did horror films. Mm-mm-mm. The things you find.
Yeah, it's amazing what you stumble across. Got to blow some dust off the memory banks there. Yeah. Yeah, Matt chimed in. Yep, was it Star Crash for Hasselhoff? Yep, that's what it was.
Yep. Good job.
That's what it was, Matt. Yeah. Yeah, Victor saying, yeah, Sergio Leone. Yeah, king of the spaghetti westerns, Victor. You got that right. And welcome, Kelly. So Kelly must be on there as well. Hello, Kelly. Nice to you to join us here tonight. So heroes, Mike. Who was your hero of Star Wars? I should say. Who was your favorite
Han Solo.
leading character? Yeah, me too. I gotta say, 110%. Yes.
I'm gonna go off script. Go off script here for a second. I don't know. Did you see my post from the collector show I did over the weekend? Last weekend.
Was it the one you had up? You had things up for sale.
Yeah.
You had set up. And
well, there was a guy that came by. The show I did before, a guy came up and he started talking about how he used to have dreams about little orphan Annie, but after she was an adult, and that got weird. But this guy comes up to me. He's in his 40s and he's dressed like in a Jedi robe, and he's got a like really crappy Kylo Ren lightsaber. And he goes, "You got any Princess Leia stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, I got a couple action figures there." And he looks at him and he goes, "Do you sell pillows?" And I said, "No." He goes, "I love Princess Leia." I said, "Oh, she's a good character." He goes, "Who's your favorite character?" I said, "Well, probably Han Solo." "Oh, he and Leia had a baby. I said, yeah, I know. Kylo Ren. Yeah, yeah, he killed his dad. Yeah, I know that. It's like talking to Rain Man. He goes, and Leia could feel that when he died. Do you know how? And I said, the Force. And he goes, yeah, she had the Force. And he goes, so you don't have any pillows? Do you have any Princess Leia pillows? And I said, no. And he goes, I have a Princess Leia pillow. He goes, I sleep with it every night. I was like, man. So I posted it on Facebook. I said, I bet that pillow's got at least one hole in it. So yeah. So take your lightsaber, your Kylo Ren lightsaber home with your Princess Leia pillow. But I was just like, wow. Wow. I hope I'm not like that. Like if I go to a Jaws convention and just like, you got any Brody stuff? I love Brody. Brody was so good. Do you know how he killed the shark? Do you know why?
It makes me think of oh gosh, what Sandler movie was it? Sitting there with the lipstick and the
Oh
and the
yeah,
M1 Garand.
Billy Madison. Yeah, he puts the
Billy Madison.
takes,
Yeah,
takes him off the list. Yeah, yeah,
scratches
yeah,
his name off the list, goes back to
yeah.
putting the lipstick on. Yeah, I mean, I'm
Even
sure we all
Frankie.
seem creepy. Yeah, I'm sure we all seem creepy to certain groups of people. I know sometimes people look at me a little weird when I talk about the Jaws stuff, and I get that. But yeah, some people out there, you're just kind of like just a different level, you know. Well, you just make sure you're on one side of the table and they're on the other.
That's right.
Just don't ask if you want to go back to here. I got this really cool pillow down in my mom's basement. You want to see it? Because you're not coming out. You're not coming home from that. You know. Next thing you know, it's with the bucket and the rope. It puts the lotion on its
That's
skin.
right.
Oh, that could get ugly real fast. A little too quick.
Put the
Oh
lotion in the basket.
All right, we'll try and reel that one back in. That's getting dark quick, Mike. So while we're talking about comparing these two, I, I was trying to look up people that perhaps have done parts in both franchises. And what spurred it off was I'm thinking J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams did Star Wars movies. J.J. Abrams did Star Trek movies. So I'm like, who else has done both? I'm amazed at how many people have either done at least voices or both, actual characters in both sides of the stream here, and quite a few of them. Even like George Takei, who did one of the voices on the Star Wars Clone Wars, either movie or TV series. I can't remember which. You look down through there, yeah. Jason Isaac has done both. Um, let's see, Malcolm McDowell, which I did not know did any Star Wars there whatsoever. Ed Begley Jr. You're talking Boba Fett. Boba Fett did some Star Trek work. Don't ask me what he did, but
Huh.
he ended up in both worlds. So it's really interesting how much of a crossover um, there is with some of these guys. I mean, an awful lot. I kept digging and digging and finding more and more. And fortunately, some of these people I just simply didn't recognize as far as their name and who they were. But when I saw some of the characters, particularly the Star Wars characters, I mean, I knew right away. Clancy Brown, for God's sakes. I mean, he's been in everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Clancy Brown was in, The Highlander, Pet Cemetery. I mean, he
Shawshank.
was
Yeah.
in, yeah, Shawshank Redemption. I mean, he's been just in here. He played in the animated Star Wars series. He was the brother to Darth Maul
Oh, he was Mr. Crab and SpongeBob.
and SpongeBob. Yeah, I mean, talk about somebody that gets around. I mean, that's you know pretty impressive stuff. A lot of guys really kind of hit both ends of the spectrum, and I don't know I kind of wondered. So would being in one make them more marketable for the other in the eyes of, say, like if you were in a Star Trek film or series, the Star Trek people when they're looking for somebody, go, you know what, he did a pretty good job with that. You know, it's down the alley here. Would that make it more marketable? Would it not? I don't know. You know, yeah,
I don't know. I wouldn't know for voices because they really don't, unless they really hype. Who's who the voices are. It's not really gonna. I mean, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know George Takei. I mean, I know his voice, but I mean, I wouldn't unless I was listening for him. I wouldn't know that was him.
yeah. I wouldn't be able to pick it out. No, definitely not. You couldn't play it and say, so who is this? I wouldn't have a clue. Um, yeah, absolutely. You know, and some of these other ones. Who else was I thinking here? Oh gosh. I mean, Brent Spinner. Brent Spinner in Star Trek, he was the droid. I can't even remember what the droid's name was on. I think it was Next Generation. He was like the C3PO, and here he
Yeah,
showed up. He was an
he was
animated.
Data. Yeah, he was Data.
Yeah, Data. I'm sorry. Yeah, he was Data. You know, and apparently he's been showing up in Star Wars animation stuff. So yeah, it just kind of makes me wonder with that crossover there. Was there one make it more marketable for the other one? I guess I expected to see things a little bit more polarized than what they were, which is kind of neat because I went into this with the idea that this one may be better than this one. And it's kind of neat to see a lot of these parallels, a lot of this crossover. So,
Well, Kevin Pike, who we were talking about before the show, he worked on Jedi, and then
hmm
he won an Emmy for one of the Star Trek series that he worked on. I can't for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the one with the lady captain.
I
Victor, help me
can't.
out.
Yeah, I might actually have the name of it here. Let me take
Oh, was
a
that
look.
Discovery? No,
Wasn't Discovery, Picard, Star Trek Voyager? Was it Voyager?
Voyager. Thank you. Yeah,
Star Trek
Kevin Pike
Voyager.
won an
Yeah.
Emmy for the effects on Voyager.
Okay. Yeah. And let's not forget Star Trek the animated series that came out. You're talking probably like Justice League days. I mean, it was a cartoon, and they brought all the original
Mhm.
cast on.
Yeah.
It was all their vocals, all their voices. Yeah. So, and you're talking light years before Star Wars ever hit as a cartoon. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Yeah, a lot of really interesting kind of parallels going on there. So that's about what I have as far as the Star Wars and Star Trek worlds go that we wanted to look at. However, I do have some other things here. We have some options here, and maybe I can leave it up to you or maybe you guys at home. We could play a quick little kind of trivia game. Is it Star Wars or is it Star Trek? And I've got a fun little clip or two we can kind of take us out on. So it really comes down to what we have, how we doing on time. We're just over an hour. So what do you think, Mike? You want to try and throw a couple of questions up,
Yeah.
see if we get people to answer them, and then end up with a we'll end up with a little clip or two. I got two fun clips here. I thought we would end the show with. So all right, well let's see. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring up a video version clip here. That way, people at home have a little visual there to check out as well. So let me pull this up to the stage. Um, and I will get this guy running here.
Reminds me of the line in the end when Burt Reynolds takes all these different colored pills and gets sick, and he looks at it. He goes, "Looks like Walt Disney threw up." That's what the screen looks like.
and he literally gets sick across the glass coffee table. Is that
Yeah,
right? Am I remembering that
yeah,
correctly?
yeah. That's a
Yeah, yeah.
fun movie too.
That really is. Yeah, very good. Again, another one I haven't seen. I haven't seen that probably since I was, I don't know, a teenager. I'll bet, or maybe early 20s. So this is, and I can't take credit for this. I did not come up with this. This was a gentleman that put this together called Star Wars or Star Trek Quiz. This is all visual. So you guys at home can kind of chime in here. I'm going to hit one. It gives you a little countdown on the clock of like 5 seconds per to determine if the character is a Star Wars character or if it is a Star Trek character. So I will let this roll. Mike, maybe if you can kind of watch some of the comments on the Facebook end Um, if you're able to, while I do this, see if we get some people to kind of chime in on some of these. So here we go. Star Wars versus Star Trek. All right, so here is our first character. There we go. Star Wars or Star Trek? What do you say, Mike?
Star Wars?
You're going with Star Wars? Okay. I'm not going to say anything.
You would know if it's Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. The answer is definitely Star Wars. Yeah, he kind of looks like a Reese's character, who was one of the characters from Jedi. Yeah. Little divulsion of him. All right. We'll do a couple of these.
Everybody said Star Wars. Good, good.
Everyone. So we got the Star Wars fans. Here we go. Next one. Number 2. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars?
Star Wars. All right. Got anyone at home chiming in? I can flip over here.
Everybody's thinking.
Somebody want to throw up an answer?
Well, Victor says Star Trek.
Star Trek. Okay, that would be Star Wars, and I want to say this is from the newest series, 7, 8, and 9. I want to say probably I think it was the middle film, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yeah. All right, they did a good job with placement there. Try to keep certain things out of there. So okay, here we go. Rolling into number 3. There we go. Star Wars or Star Trek? This one I honestly don't have a clue on.
I'm going to say Star Wars.
Yeah, this one I honestly don't know.
Say Ron Perlman.
You know what? Now that you say that, Mike, that very well could be Ron Perlman. All right, well, let's see how it plays out.
Victor and Mark say Star Trek.
Okay, well, let's see what it says here. Ooh, Victor. Oh, point for those guys.
Way to go.
Star Trek. Wow, that was good. Nice call, guys. All right, what do we have on the next one? All right, this one looks a little obvious to me.
And Star Trek.
Yeah, I would say that too. I would definitely say that. We'll let it run out here. That is, yep, Star Trek. Don't have any clue from what, but it definitely has a bit of a Star Trek-esque look to it. Pause this one, let some people at home throw some answers up on this one. I know this one, so I'm not going to say a word. This one I know for sure.
Let's say Star Wars.
Okay. All right. Anybody at home?
Victor says Star Wars.
Star Wars. Okay.
Mark says Star Wars.
Star Wars. All right. Let's let that roll out. That is definitely Star Wars. Nice job, guys. Mark, Vic. Good call on that one.
Mark says it's from Rogue One. Very good, Mark.
You know what? Good man. I thought it was Rogue One. I didn't want to be wrong. Yeah, or sound stupid, but I thought that was Rogue One. Yeah. All right, number 6. Here we go.
Star Trek.
Yeah, I'm going to go Star Trek on that guy. It just has a bit of a look to him. Yeah. Does not look like a creature world that I remember seeing from Star Wars. All right. Anybody at home?
Vic says Star Trek. Mark says Star Trek.
Okay. Well, let's see if these guys are right. What do we got for them here? The timer runs out. Yep, Star Trek. Nice call, guys.
He looks like the goth brother of the guy with the earmuffs on Empire.
You know what I was thinking of? Yeah, I was thinking of Prometheus.
Oh, yeah.
Almost had that facial feature of Prometheus. Yeah. Precursor to Alien. All right, number 7. This one's easy. I'm sorry. This is a piece of cake. I could even tell you what scene it was from.
Yeah. You probably do the dialogue.
And if you look really, really close at the guy on the left, you can see that the hood to his mask is actually pulled out of his space jacket there. Yeah. What do you got?
Star Wars.
You got it. And
Victor says that's Matt and I drinking. That's about right. That's about right.
Good call there, Vic. Yeah, that is Star Wars. And as Mike kind of alluded there, that's the cantina scene right there. Yeah.
ABC Lounge Friday night. Back in the 70s, where you could go home with someone and not worry about getting killed. Yeah.
All right, how about we round this off at 10? We'll go up to 10, and then we'll maybe kick off a little fun video or two here to wrap things up. All right, what do you got?
I'm going to Star Trek. I'm going to say Star Trek.
Okay.
It's like the thing on the ice on the Rula Pente, wherever they send them in Star Trek 5.
All right. Anybody at home want to chime in here?
Mark says Star Wars. Victor says that's my nightmare tonight. Aw.
Star Wars. So that is one of the creatures from the would have been episode 8. Would have been the Clone Wars when Obi-Wan and Anakin, they were captured and they're kind of put out in that little arena. It was almost like watching like the old gladiator fights. I don't know if you saw that episode 8. And they put it was like 3 creatures out there, and this was one of them. They ran up the poles and they were up on top of the poles trying to fight these things off.
It's like it's missing a tooth.
It looks like he's got plenty to back it up, though. Yeah.
To brush those every day.
You know what that reminds me of? So it was the last week, 2 weeks ago, the great white shower that's been popping up on all the jaw sites. Have you seen that? That's what that reminds me of. And when I look at this, I think about the comment that I made is, there'll be a bitch cleaning that thing every week, scrubbing that thing down all those teeth, man.
You floss with that. Use a rope to floss with it.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Number 9. Let's see what we have.
Number nine. For you Beatles fans.
Yeah.
There he is. That's the guy I just said that one guy looked like.
That's right. That's right.
Earmuff guy in Empire.
All right. So take it a step higher. What was his name?
Oh shoot.
This is one of the few times in life that I know a name of someone that you might not know, Mike. One of the only times.
Earmuff. Muff guy. They called him Muff guy. That's what Lando called him.
Started with an L.
Loki. Lando.
Larry. Larry the Cable Guy. Yeah, it was Lobot. Lobot, and supposedly he was like, I want to say half computer system, half human. Supposedly he was like the brains behind the Cloud City. So him and the guy running around with the ice cream maker. Did you ever see that?
Mm-mm.
In The Empire Strikes Back, they did a couple great things that people have picked up on over time. When everyone's fleeing Cloud City because Darth Vader shows up.
Right.
And they're just coming in and taking over, and Lando makes these telling people to evacuate Cloud City. There is a guy running down the hallway, and he's running like this, and he is carrying a damn ice cream maker. That's what he's carrying. And it's become so popular, somebody custom made an action figure. This guy with the ice cream maker. Oh yeah, good
I'll have to
stuff.
watch for that now.
Yeah, good stuff. And if you watch the asteroid scene, when they were making the asteroid scene, I don't know if the guys did this for fun or if they literally were doing it because they thought it was passable. But with the asteroids that were flying through, space when the Millennium Falcon was trying to fly through it, they used an actual potato for one of them. And if you watch it, you can see this potato kind of tumbling past the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, yeah, look it up. It's pretty cool. Good stuff. All right. All right, we got number 10 coming up here. Last one. Let's see how we do. Come on here. We stalling out. There we go. All right. That's number 10. That one, I have a hunch on this one, but I can't say I'm entirely sure on this one. It looks kind of Trekky to me, but it also looks kind of episode 1 to me.
Yeah, I'm thinking episode 1, like somebody lizard people in the Imperial Senate or something.
Yeah, could have been, or what was the Gundams or whatever. He visited a couple like underwater type planets there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Any calls from home? Anyone chiming in?
Mark says Trek.
Trek. Okay. Well,
Victor says Star Wars.
let's see who wins the $1 million question here. We have, as the timer runs out, we have Star Trek.
Ooh, Star Trek.
Good call there, Mark.
Good call,
Very
Mark.
good call. Very nice call. All right. So that ends the game round. That was pretty cool. Something a little different. So I thought I'd wrap this up. I have 2 clips that are just fun and funny. One is Star Wars related, and one, to be honest with you, is just part of a snippet of a scene of a great movie. If you've ever seen it, it's a movie called Fanboys. You ever seen Fanboys?
Yeah, what's his name?
Everybody's in it.
Dan Fogler. Dan Fogler's the pedophile. Yeah, I know who you mean. They dress up and they go to like Iowa and they knock over the Kirk statue.
Oh, they do that, yeah. That's one of the scenes. In fact, that's part of the one video I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fun movie.
Yeah. Oh, great movie. I break that out like once a year. So I have a clip from that. I'm going to do that one last because there's a little bit of sound on the end that I don't want us to get us in trouble. The clip I have first, I want to show you guys. Maybe you guys at home have seen this, but back when the episodes, I think it was during one of the episodes of 1, 2, and 3 were coming out. I want to say it was Clone Wars. People were just lined up going Star Wars crazy. They waited like 2 or 3 days to go see these films in line, in character. And God, what was his name? Triumph the Insult comic dog.
Insult comic dog. Yes, love
him.
him.
You remember him? He went down through the crowd and must have did 25 minutes of this. I mean, the guy was just genius as far as his one-liners, his comebacks, and his wittiness. And so I grabbed a small clip of some of this. It was just hilarious. And at times he kind of takes shots at certain things and certain people. And not that I endorse or support any of that, but his overall wittiness and character is just absolutely great. And the people that were in the shots were very much, great characters kind of playing along with it. So I'm going to pull that clip up first here for us here, and then we'll end on the other one here. So here we go.
You're dressed as a huge nerd. Yes. Seriously, you're supposed to be.
I'm supposed to be a Jedi.
You're a Jedi Knight. Yes. And what are the principles of a Jedi Knight?
To always defend truth and justice throughout the galaxy,
and to eat a lot of peanut M&Ms.
And he's saying that you can't see. He's holding a bag of peanut M&Ms. So I mean, the guy's just
throughout the galaxy. You know what's good about this costume, folks? Take a look. He has the ability. He can crap his pants and no one will know. Everyone is engaging in rousing games of Star Wars Stratego. This is Risk. Very exciting. This game is normally played indoors by 12-year-olds. This is a nice break for you. You're getting away from the drudgery of your normal, mundane life. Spent playing Stratego at home. Unbelievable. Look, among the nerds, I found an actual girl here. Look at this. Not too shabby around here, huh, honey? The male-female ratio, yeah? I mean, you've got your veritable pick of the litter. You can choose from all kinds of guys who have no idea how to please you. She said pretty much, yeah. Who's going to stand up to this challenge? I will. You're going to stand up to this? Yeah, right. And I'm stooping Lassie. Commitment. All these guys standing in line here all this time waiting for the show. How do you explain this to your imaginary girlfriend? Look at this one. You look like some kind of super nerd. It looks like you were built in a laboratory out of parts from a lesser nerds.
That's a big guy.
Jedi Obi-Wan whack off right
now. He gets a little bit on the raunchy side at times, but dear God, the stuff he comes up with off the cuff with those interviews, just incredible. Awesome.
And it was Dan Fogler and Fanboys. Dan Schneider is the alleged pedophile. So Dan Fogler, if you're watching, I apologize.
Dan Fogler, and he's weaved his way into a lot of stuff. He's been what, Harry Potter movies, stuff like that. Yeah. He's been quite an accomplished actor. That's what we're going to go out with here. And you'll probably notice a couple of other people here.
That first guy that Triumph interviewed, that was the Princess Leia guy. Imagine that guy talking about Princess Leia. That wasn't him, but it could have been him. Yeah.
Could very easily. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up with this last clip. So we'll say our goodbyes now. I'll let this run out, and I'm going to kill the show at the end of the clip. So thank you. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us from Chicago tonight. I appreciate you taking the time out of your travel schedule here to hang out with us tonight, buddy.
My pleasure. Had a great time. Great show as always.
Put
together an excellent show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right. So here we go. I'm just going to bring this up full screen, mute myself, let you guys enjoy this one, write it out, and we will catch you next week back with some Jaws action. Have a good weekend, guys.
You're going to die a virgin.
Rockfield Mountain. Yep, that's okay. Hilarious, everyone. Looks like we got more Lucas hounds here to mock Roddenberry. Congratulations, gentlemen, but I would like to see your Darth Vader take on one Borg drone. We'll see who's laughing then, am I right?
Darth Vader could put the entire Borg collective in a vice grip with his mind.
Darth Vader has asthma, so name me one Star Trek character with a respiratory disease, because I'm drawing a blank.
Name me one Star Wars character who's gay.
Yeah.
Besides you.
Well, I know it's gay in Star Trek, so why would I even do that?
Captain Picard.
Okay, Captain Picard is not gay, he's British.
Come on, make it so.
Well, I hate to break it to you losers, but Han Solo's a bitch.
Oh, no. No, I'm sorry, what did you just say? Got a problem here? Yeah, that sure is, Spock. The Admiral here just called Han Solo a bitch. It's pretty strong words for a Trekkie.
Okay, well, Trekkie is derogatory at this point in the game. Trekker is what we're called now. Trekker.
Trekkie.
Just take a look, see.
What's with the man purse?
Yeah. As I thought, scanner reads douchebag.